Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always. Let's see about where we left off at. Okay. Okay. Alright, yeah, we did the hang moment. So we are on errands right now. Unless you want to skip it and go to, I kind of wanted to go here to Charity, because this is the moment, in this moment, I believe we get to confess our love for Cove. So you know what, I'm just going to skip ahead, and if you don't like it, oh well. Yeah, I'm just doing what I want to do, okay? So hopefully you'll like it, but if not, then I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I'm gonna go start with Charity. And let me get my keyboard over here so I can get relaxed and get going here. Sun beamed in through your window, warming your skin as you lay comfortably on your bed. With your arm hovering in the air, you held your phone above your face, squinting against the sun to read the latest text Cove had sent though. Excuse me, I just remembered I gotta put up my sign on my door. Even though some people around here tend to ignore it, I gotta at least put a warning on there that I am in the middle of a recording session. So some people, hopefully some people, will not interrupt me and try to do my recording. With your arm hovering in the air. Did I read this already? Yeah, I read this part already. Okay. He was out with the group he volunteered with, Orca, doing some kind of activity. They'd been at it since early that morning, and he'd been keeping you updated by messenger. The latest one explained how he'd just finished cleaning up the beach and was now heading over to man a stall on the shopping street to sell tickets for a fundraising dinner. Before then, he wanted to call. You didn't mind that, and replied saying as much. As you waited for it to come in, you let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized. Being a completely fundraising focused event for large donors. It was crucial for the organization's projects in the year to come. That's why Cove had been so busy lately. All you had heard about it so far was that it was a prim and proper occasion with speeches and everything. And then a notification popped up. Incoming call. You picked it up immediately. Hi, I exclaimed.
Sorry.
Hey Chippy, sorry I don't have a lot of time to talk, but this is my chance, so you know, says Cove. I'm gonna go with the first one. It sounds like you're doing a great job. Compliment him. Give him some compliments. And for a really good cause, I exclaimed. It's nothing, really. I enjoy the work. It feels good to help out, says Cove.
I mean...
Do you want to come by to see me? At the booth, says Cove. Definitely, I exclaimed. I want to hang out with my boyfriend. Okay, cool. See you soon. It's just down the shopping street. You'll see it, says Cove. Alright, bye, I exclaimed. See ya, says Cove. After the temporary goodbyes, you tucked your phone away and pushed yourself up from your bed. Heading downstairs, you found Ma lounging in the living room, seated on the couch with her legs tucked up and a magazine in her lap. She looked up at the sound of your footsteps, giving you a smile. Hey, sweetie. What are you up to, asked Mom. Cove just finished his first Orca activity. He's going to the shopping street to sell tickets for their fundraising dinner. I'm gonna meet him there, I exclaimed.
That's fantastic.
Good idea. That sounds wonderful, said Mom. She nodded happily, and then her face fell a little as she put her magazine to the side. I'm still sad for your mom, and I can't make it to the dinner that night, says Mom. She seemed honestly disappointed, but her face brightened again when she looked at you next. You'll be going, right? I can buy the ticket for you if you don't have enough. What's the price? I'll ask. Thanks, but Cove hasn't mentioned how much it is. I'll check it out when I'm there, I explained.
Okie dokie.
Perfect, let me know how it goes, says Mom. You agreed with a nod, walking backwards towards the door. Thanks, sweetie. Have a good walk. And tell Cove I said hello, says Mom. I will. Bye, Ma. Throwing out the front door, you shut it behind you and let out a deep breath. had known that the event was coming up and that you'd most likely be going to support Cove, but you hadn't thought about it too much before now. With a small nod to yourself about everything you'd have to do, you began to walk to the shopping street. You hit the shopping street and casually walked along beneath the afternoon rays, windows shopping and browsing through the various stalls that were set up around the place. It didn't take long until you spotted Cove's bright seafoam hair behind a counter and the banner advertising the fundraising event. He caught your eye as you headed over and stood from his seat with a smile. Pleased to see you arrive. Raising a hand from the clipboard he held, he gave you a wide wave in greeting, inviting you to approach the counter. You came right up to the front of the booth, inspecting the little plush sea animals that decorated it, before turning your smile on Cove. "Chippy," says Cove. You leaned in to kiss him across the counter. "Of course. My boyfriend." Cove took the cue as you moved forward, placing his hands on the tabletop and leaning his body over towards you. I'm gonna get myself some water. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Okay, Cove took the cue as you moved forward, placing his hands on the table and leaning his body over towards you. You kissed him on the lips. It was sweet and short, with a bit of awkwardness, giving the piece of furniture stuck between you. When you pulled back, he smiled at you suddenly, a pink blush spreading across his skin. Lifting a hand, he reached across to run his fingers along your arm gently. Then he moved back and stood up straight, clutching his clipboard tightly. Hi, hopefully you're not out of tickets already, I exclaimed. Hey, you made it, and not yet, says Cove. Have you settled in and everything? I asked. He nodded, and taking a quick survey of the simple booth. I appreciate getting to take a seat for a while. The beach was great, but it's nice to be off my feet for 5 seconds, says Cove. He chuckled. You were glad to see that despite all the work he'd been doing, he was in high spirits. He seemed to really be enjoying working with the charity. So, how much are the tickets for the event? I asked. He hesitated for a moment, rubbing at the back of his neck awkwardly. They're 150. I only found out today, says Cove. Wow, that's a lot. Must be a pretty fancy dinner then. Okay. That makes sense. Sounds like a pretty reasonable price for such a fancy event. I've seen way more expensive ones, I exclaimed. Cove shrugged, glancing down at his clipboard as he answered. It's definitely not something I would normally be at, but it seems to fit the type of people who are into that kind of thing, says Cove. Most people that have bought tickets wrote a check for it. I've never written a check for anything before, says Cove. You laughed briefly and shook your head at him upon seeing the look on your face. He tailed off and cleared his throat softly. A couple of people did have cash though, but yeah, that's the answer to your question, says Cove. He gave you an affectionate look, his eyes soft as they met yours.
Don't worry about it.
Not that it's really matters. I'll get you a ticket. I just want you to be there, says Cove. You will? Group members get to bring a guest? I ask. No, we only get entry for ourselves, and it's only people who volunteer a certain number of hours, or if you're actually part of the team running it, says Cove. So basically, I'm gonna buy it for you, says Cove. That's nice of you. I'm gonna go with the bottom one. I'll make it up to you sometime. It was really nice. It was a really nice gesture for him to make, and you would be kind to him in return. You really don't have. You really don't need to. You're still supposed to be my guest. It makes sense that I'm the one giving you the ticket, Cisco. Oh, so sweet. It felt good to know that you being there was that important to you. He glanced over his shoulder quickly before turning back to you, his lips tilting mischievously at the corners.
Well,
I'm not supposed to, but if you want, you can sit behind the counter and keep me company while I sell tickets. Give me a moment. That's my phone. Should have had it turned it off. I don't even know who that is. I don't even know who that is. I'm gonna turn the ringer off. Come on, get over there. Alright. Turn the ringer down. There. Put on vibrate only. Okay. Yep, alright. Probably a wrong number or something. Sorry about that. I'm not supposed to, but if you want, you can sit behind the counter and keep me company while I sell tickets, asked Cove. Heck yeah. He laughed at your enthusiasm as you rounded the table and took the extra seat beside him. The afternoon passed in a blur with you and Cove laughing and chatting in between the ticket sales. As time drifted on, the sun sunk lower into the sky. 6 p.m. finally rolled around, and you helped him to get everything packed up to call it a day. As you headed back home together, you thought of the fundraising dinner and how close it was now. There was still plenty to do before the big night arrived. Let's see if I can turn the air on in here. Sorry about that. I had to get that taken care of. Some cool air in here. It's always getting warm here in Vegas, I can tell you that. Okay. Did I read this part already? Yeah, I did. The days continued on in a normal flow, and before long, the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. Liz was helping you pick out your outfit. You stood in front of her considering different items while she sat on the edge of your bed, lips pursed, pursued tight. Oh, man. She had given a firm yes or no to each item you showed her, which had now produced your options, reduced your options into a small pile to choose from. The event had strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were also happy with. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go with the first one. You're happy to have the chance to dress fancy. Might as well dress to impress, right? There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much use as you would have liked, and now was the time to show them off. Smiled as you picked your way through the items, your excitement shining bright.
It's fine.
You don't need to get too in your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something, says Liz. Aren't you helpful, Liz? I asked. You rolled her eyes sarcastically and pouted. You knew you needed to make a decision and didn't appreciate the way Liz was pushing you towards it. So, I know I gotta get dressed, okay? Jeez. Sorry, I'm only trying to get this done, says Liz. Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you looked over your options one last time. It was time to decide on an outfit, and quick. Number 2. You chose a button-down shirt and pants. Liz nodded in approval, clapping her hands together, satisfied.
Good.
Finally, we're making some progress, says Liz. Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assessed your outfit. You thought about adding an accessory or two. It needed a little something extra to finish it off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. I'm gonna put on a tie. Liz took the item from your hands and helped tie it around your neck correctly. You stepped in front of the mirror when she was done, nodding in approval. And I'm going to wear the anklet because Cove likes that sort of thing, so might as well put it on. You had to quickly remove your shoes and slip on the anklet before stepping back into them again. And that was everything. And with that, you decided to apply makeup? No, not put makeup on. You were ready to go. Finally, you were dressed. It had all come together. Cove sent through a text saying he was heading to the car and would see you in a bit. When you looked at Liz again, she had a goofy smile pulling at her lips. You look very nice, Chippy, says Liz. I do look good, don't I? You admired your reflection in the mirror, happily with the outfit you picked out. Liz whipped a pretend tear away with her finger. Aw, she's happy for us. Because we're getting older and we got a boyfriend. Yeah, she's happy for us. Sniffling dramatically. Oh, precious Chippy, you're really all grown up. It happened in a blink of an eye, when I wasn't even looking, says Liz. She chuckled to herself, nudging you towards the door.
Alright.
Alright, time to get downstairs. You're very official. You're very official, though still kind of a baby. Boyfriend awaits, says Liz. You carefully headed down the stairs into the living room, where your moms were waiting for your appearance. As you entered, they both stood from the couch, stood from the couch, and came over to you, smiling broadly. You look so wonderful, Chippy, says Mom.
Nice.
And very mature too, says Mom.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right? continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Ma took Mom by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly. Thank you. It felt a little strange to have everyone's attention on you, but you liked it nonetheless. Liz smiled at you from where she stood, her expression soft. Mom came to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mom and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight, says Mom.
Have fun.
We won't wait up for you. Stay out as long as you need. You're old enough now anyway. Of course, we're 18, right? With last wave goodbye, you left your family and approached the front door. It was time. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Oh, ain't he handsome? He's gorgeous, right? Cove was standing in the street. His eyes met yours immediately as if he had been watching your house for the moment you could come out. He smiled bashfully. Hey, Chippy, says Cove. Hey, stranger, I barely recognize you, I exclaimed. He took a chance to check over his outfit as he walked across the way to meet you. It was formal for sure, though it didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him and was honestly a sight for sore eyes. He was always beautiful to you. With a growing smile, he stepped closer, his cheeks reddening all the way down his neck.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming with me and for dressing really nicely for this. Your outfit it's just perfect, says Cove. His gaze traveled down towards to take in your full form, and he leaned in only inches away from your face to whisper in your ear, his warm breath tickling your skin. I like the ankle bracelet, says Cove. Yeah, I thought you might. Your cheeks went hot and you bit down your lip to keep from smiling too much. Now, that was news to you. You made a mental note to remember it in the future. I'm gonna go with this one. Damn, Cove, you're so hot right now. You said flirtatious. Cove hung his bright red face in embarrassment. After that, he wrapped his arms around his torso bashfully, as if trying to protect himself and the outfit from further teasing. I'm not trying to tease you, just complimenting. Come on, Chippy, says Cove. He laughed at the reaction. Then he shook his head, glanced back towards the garage, and throwing a thumb over his shoulder, spoke.
Come on.
We should probably get going. Wouldn't want to be late to such a grown-up event, right? Asked Cove. Yeah, let's go, I exclaimed. You headed over to Cove's car together, hopping in, strapping yours on your seatbelts. You were on your way. The event was being held at a place you had never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once there you were met with the task of finding a parking spot. Though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and clamped the spaces. Eventually you found a suitable place before realizing that it required payment. Cove covered the amount, taking a ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Despite the small holdup, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list before being shown into the dining area. Man. Get some water. Cove whistled low. He looked around, taking in the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you had already expected. No wonder the tickets are so high. Okay, what do I pick here? Okay, I'm gonna go with the second one. This is the best looking event I've ever been to. Probably even more fancy than the soiree was, I would say. Your lips parted in a wondrous smile as you took in the decorations and the guests all dressed to the nines. Cove met your eyes with a similar look on his face. You got the impression that he felt the same way about it all. The sound of Cove's name being called out echoed over the din of the room. When you looked around, there were a couple of unfamiliar people coming your way. They headed over to Greek Cove, giving you both a welcoming smile and hello. We're glad to see you could make it, Cove, especially after all the hard work you've done to help make this night happen, says leader number one.
Of course.
Definitely, I wasn't gonna miss it, says Cove. You must be Chippy. Cove has mentioned you often. It's so nice to finally meet you, said leader two. He has, huh? Well, I hope I live up to the legend, I exclaimed. When he glanced over at Cove for confirmation, he smiled, pleased with himself, a small flush of color covering his cheeks. Chippy and I, we've known each other for a long time, since we were just kids, says Cove. That's wonderful. There's nothing like old friends, says leader number one. Yeah, says Cove. Cove, we have to thank you for everything you've done for Orca. You're always welcome to join in on more activities when they come up, says leader number two. You too, Chippy. If you ever decide that's something you're interested in, leader one says. You nodded your head in understanding, giving a small smile. Yeah, that's Cove's job. He likes doing this volunteer stuff. I'm not really into it myself because I'm working part-time now and I'm going to college pretty soon. Part-time as well. Well, we better head off to greet the other guests. It was lovely speaking with you both, says leader two. You all said your goodbyes and they faded off into the crowd, leaving you and Cove on your own once more. Cove shrugged, then his eyes darting around the place with an awkward look.
So,
I guess we should talk to more people. There isn't much else to do in an event like this. You found your way into groups of people who were standing around chatting. While some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests, offering drinks in canopies? Yeah, canopies, that's what it says. Cove approached various people as you wandered your way through the guests. He managed to broaching new conversations as well. You were enjoying talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike. Found yourself enjoying the company. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who assumed must be the host for the event was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cove looked for your table, finding it easy enough to be by the little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. A few others joined you at the table, enough they weren't anyone that you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were starting off the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on to provide some more information about Orca, which you supposed was for the guests who weren't a part of the organization. Sorry about that. And the purpose of the fundraiser tonight. Get some water. Orca's goals, as she explained it, were to aid the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make the group as successful as it was. When she read off the list of several volunteers who worked on making the event happen, Cove's name was one of the first to come up. His chest puffed out in pride at that. As she continued to thank the large donors for the event, you checked over at Cove. He was grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the tops of his knees, pretty pleased to have been mentioned by name. I'm gonna go with the third one. You're excited for him. He had worked so hard to make this event happen. It was the least that he deserved. Of course. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were setting the first course of the menu in front of the guests. One of the servers set down a plate in front of you, and you thanked them quietly before looking over the dish with interest. You recognized the dish was a simple Caesar salad. The host quietly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you to all begin your meal. Anyone who had included a special dietary note when signing up for the event received a vegan or vegetarian version. and there were also small blankets of bread set around the table. Okay. You ate both the salad and bread. Cove wolfed down his salad before munching into a breadstick, quietly devouring that as well. I hope the next part comes out soon and is bigger. You could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached over for another piece of bread. Hungry, are we? He glanced around the table, and you followed his line of sight with curiosity. Nothing that else was still eating the salad. Everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his hand mid-air, he quietly pulled back and rested it on his lap, without taking another breadstick after all. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself, and he looked a little out of place here. He folded his arms and turned away from them to you. Hey, did you like the salad? Cove asked. Yeah, it was really good. I can't wait to see what else they have to serve, says Chippy. His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you, as if he was trying not to even think about what the rest of the table might be doing. Okay. You gave Cove a pat on the hand. His lips tilted up at the corners, and he seemed touched by the reassurance. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving, and the various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. An array of scents whiffed through the room, making your mouth water. I'm gonna go with the steak. You had chosen the steak. It was nice that you had been given the option of how you liked your steak cooked, and the meal on the plate in front of you seemed perfectly to your taste. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was completely absorbed by his meal. Yep, I'm going to say this first one. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling your food like that, Cove. Slow down, boy. Slow down. Chew slowly. He resorted without even looking up from the dish. He retorted without even looking up from the dish. Most of the people here can do CPR, so it'll be fine. Still, says Cove. Still, Cove, you need to slow down. I don't want to have to worry about having to give you CPR. Although, I wouldn't mind. Could I put some tongue in that too? Probably have to give you Heimlich maneuver. If you're choking, I'll have to give you a Heimlich maneuver. Unless you start breathing, and then I'd have to give you CPR. You shook your head in amusement as he continued fervently, even at the same pace. Dinner eventually ended, and last of all was dessert. A lemon sorbet that had been practically dyed blue. The mix of white with bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of roaring ocean waves. The effort was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to go to find him counting a little at the size of it. Digging into the dessert, it took him only a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely even begun eating. An unimpressed air settled over him as he sat back into his chair, sipping at his water unhappily. I'll drink my water. I'm gonna go with the fourth one. We can get more dessert later. You gave him an encouraging smile. He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for defense.
I mean,
it was just really good. That's all. And now it's gone, but I'm okay, says Cove. With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? I asked. I could feed it to him. You scooped up a spoonful of your sorbet and offered it to him, holding a hand beneath it to avoid any drips. His eyes widened as he eyed the dessert, hungrily supposed by the offer. Recovering quickly, he leaned forward over the table, lifting out of the chair. A little as he ate the treat from your spoon. I feeds him. I feed my boy. As he sat back, humming happily with his mouth full, you couldn't help but smile at the sight. Cove swallowed the fox ocean and let out a satisfied sigh, even though it was that much more. The simple fact that he had gotten more hit the spot.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks, Chippy, says Cove. You're welcome, honey. You're welcome, I exclaimed. You thought back on the way he used to be so terrified of sampling food that was yours, and now he hardly batted an eye. It was always amazing when you were stuck with how he'd grown and how he's stayed the same. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was nearing the end of their meal. They spoke mostly about the individual projects that the organization was working on and their plans for the near future, as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on a hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to the conclusion and everyone gave them a round of applause, Cove caught your eye and smiled. You wondered what would happen now. And then the lights dimmed. A couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water light effect around the room. The guests gushed the audience, and you looked around with wide eyes and ripples on the walls. The DJ that had previously been playing some soft mood music in the background announced that the floor was open for dancing, slowly turning the volume up so it drifted through the space.
Huh.
I didn't know there would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it, says Cove. Well, I hope you got over your embarrassment about dancing now, because we are going to dance. Me and you are going to get on that floor, and we're going to enjoy ourselves this time. He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. A small crowd had started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Cove let his gaze float over to the small sea of guests who were moving onto the floor. His hands twisting in his lap as his lips pulled into a tight line, and then with a breath and the lift of his hand, he turned to you.
Well,
Want to dance with me? Asked Cove. Of course. About time you ask. Of course I do. His face lit up. You could tell even the breath, the dim light. Beneath the dim light. Accepting Cove's outreached hand, you rose from your seats together and stepped out onto the floor. When you had found a spot for yourselves amongst the other guests, you turned and faced him, standing close. Cove gave you a smile as you looked up at him. He seemed a little nervous. I don't know how to dance. Not for real. Yeah, I know. That's why we only sort of danced that last time at the soiree. He admitted with a slight squeeze of your hand and sheepishly look. You gave him a reassuring grin and nudged closer to him still. Perhaps we should get dancing lessons from Baxter, you know? Especially for Cove. I mean, he did offer it, sort of. It's okay, I know, I exclaimed. With a familiar face full of affection, he let go of you and raised his arms to slide both his hands behind your neck. You wrapped your arms around him in response. Together you gently swayed to the music, moving your feet in time to the delicate beat. It was nice just being here like this, in each other's arms. You didn't have to worry about whether you knew the right steps or not. There was always a way to make it work between the two of you. Cove leaned his head in nearer to yours, his forehead so close to yours that they almost touched. His breath was warm as he let out a contented sigh, tickling your skin. You really do look so good tonight. You're such a gorgeous guy, says Cove. Ah, thanks for the compliment. You look very gorgeous yourself. You clean up pretty well yourselves, I exclaimed. He chuckled softly as you took a second to admire him, running your eyes down the front of his chest. Have you had a nice time? I hope you did, says Cove. Of course, I would say yes. Yes, I have. Or, I'm gonna go with the second one, I came here with you, so yeah. He let out a breathy giggle. His bright eyes stayed locked on yours. studying you with unmistakable admiration. Thank you for staying. You're still here, just like you promised you would be, says Cove. Of course I would. Your heart felt light as you continued to sway, whilst holding your most beloved person. So glad to be able to share a moment like this with him. His smile suddenly tilted unexpectedly. You couldn't guess the thought that crossed over his face. Hey, Chippy, says Cove. Yes, I ask. His voice gently whisper to let you in on his small secret. You know I like to complain about things, and that other people can stress me out, but
it's nice.
Coming here with you tonight didn't make me feel bad. Not even a little, says Cove. That's good. At least you're getting over some of your embarrassment or feelings, whatever you had in the past. You're getting better. You're getting better, Cove. Lips parted at the words, old memories rushing back to the surface of your mind. Those of your very first formal party together, the summer soiree at the country club. You've come a long way since then, haven't we? In that instant, you were 13 years old again, sitting on the grassy hill in a dark golf course with your neighbor. It was an experience you could never forget, where it felt as though there was no one else in the world, and where he made you feel like there was no one else in the world he wanted to be with more. That was the night Cove tried so hard to enjoy with you, but had been plagued with his anxieties despite it all. And now, he's getting over his anxieties. He's getting better. He's getting better. Feeling emotional, that was all you could choke out, and you found yourself holding onto him tighter. Cove's hand caressed the back of your neck, making you feel truly treasured. Even though I still get like that sometimes when there's other stuff in our lives that's too much for me to deal with, says Cove. But being with you, that's not one of those things. You make it so easy to do, says Cove. You make me happy, more than happy. When I'm with you, I feel safe. Oh, I'm so glad. His voice waved over so slightly, his feelings getting the best of him. I want more than anything to be able to do that for you, says Cove. He broke on the last words, tears glittering in the corner of his eyes. Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Come on. I'll always be here for you, I promise. No, wait a minute. I'm going back. I'm gonna kiss him. Yeah, you kissed him. Closing the gap between you, you leaned in and pressed your lips to his. His hand moved to cup the back of your head as he kissed you deeply in return. Then he pulled back slowly, his smile never leaving his face. A lot has happened, huh? Asked Cove. You nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he meant just today, the summer, or your entire time knowing each other. But it didn't really matter. It was true either way. Thinking back on the years that you and Cove had been neighbors, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad we ended up here, says Cove. He gave you a soft look and you beamed, knowing that could also mean many things. But from his tone, you were certain he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. You loved him. Fully and completely you did. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional on this, I swear. His smile widened and he pressed his body against yours, resting his head into the crook of your neck, stroking the back of your head with his fingers. You tightened your grip on him and let your head fall against his shoulder. As the night drifted on, you held each other tight, swaying to the music as if you were the only ones in the room. Cove was sweet the entire time. His warmth brushing against your skin as he whispered words of affection in your ear. He was extremely good at making you feel special. You couldn't have hidden your blissful smile, even if you wanted to. The party eventually started to wind down. At the last, it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came up to the podium on the stage, thanking all the guests for coming. and wishing everyone a good night. It was bittersweet to see it come to a close. Your time with Cove was precious. At least the memories could be brought with you. Giving the space one more look. You walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. Why does this parking lot look familiar? Looks like the same parking lot we went to when we went to go get the crepes. It looks the same. I don't get it. Is every parking lot in this town gonna look like that? I mean, really. It just looks the same. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna complain no more, but, you know, whatever. No other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd. Though Cove was so tall, you could always see him, and it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big and even more noticeable now with fewer cars blocking the view. It took a little while to actually locate Cove's car across its expanse. Eventually you found it, and the two of you bundled inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as you both silently reflected back on the experience. The event had been the biggest night of the year for Orca, and now it was all over, just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourself back in your neighborhood. Cove pulled the car into the driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath. Home sweet home, says Cove. Yeah, I exclaimed. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stepped in the middle of the street right between your house and his and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clammed his lips together as he had suddenly thought better of it. I'm gonna go with this one right here, yeah. Thank you for taking me tonight. Thanks for coming with me, says Cove. Of course. You kissed him goodnight. Needing to be close again before the night ended, you pressed your lips against his in a gentle kiss. He smiled as you separated, running his fingers over the side of your face.
Night.
Night, Chippy, says Cove. With a a last wispy smile, he left towards the front. He left towards the front door, figuring you shouldn't linger in the street for much longer. You crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached her house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back and looked at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused smile before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. Okay. Did I read the last part? No. It was quite late, so everyone else was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Now that you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in darkness before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was still strange to think about how that was it. The build up to the event had felt like so much. Now it was completely behind you.
Oh, fuck, bitches.
Your mind was busy with rapid and yet molded thoughts about you faded closer and closer to sleep. As unconsciously crept up to you, on you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept that it had been what it had been, and you could dream about what you'd get to experience next. And then you were taken away from your dreams right back into reality by a sound. Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be a part of the walking world again. The day was over, and it had been an eventful one. But you heard another noise. It was a tapping. Your eyes flew open. The window there was tapping that came from your window. Cove Holden, of course. You forced yourself to. Okay, yeah. You went over to let the guy in. Open up the window. Come on in, Romeo. You damn it. You extracted yourself from your bed, yawning. You stretched your arms, then made your way to the window. There was another tap right before you arrived. When you pulled it wide open, Cove was indeed there. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. However, you were taken aback to see that he was a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. You also noticed that he was perched closely. You didn't know if it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean or if he felt weird about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cole smiled sheepishly. Hi, Chippy, says Cove. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. It's nice to see you, Code Romeo. I wonder if he has a nice butt compared to the actual Romeo from that one movie. I know, I got a dirty mind. Sorry. It's just how I think sometimes. You moved aside and let him climb inside. You cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now he was holding something. When he was safely on his feet, he briefly checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking and shrugged.
I mean,
I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down. So I just walked back out, says Cove. I need fresh air and time away from everything, says Cove. He paused for a moment and raised his clasped together hands where you could see them. But then something happened and, well, So I have something I want to show you, says Cove. Cove grinned like a child and gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a minute. Carefully sitting inside was a tiny yellow light. It blinked off and then on again. A firefly. Delicately, he moved his hand closer to you, and you could see the creature better. They're back, says Cove. Oh, he is so beautiful on this. I just gotta say, he looks so gorgeous. Well, me. Just take your shirt off. And here I go with my naughty thoughts again. He closed his eyes, his smile faintly illuminated by his insect companion. Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why. It's just they were kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately, says Cove. You could tell that the firefly generally lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace, and he wanted to share that with you. The fact that his first thought was discovering the fireflies was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting yours.
It's nice. It's nice.
It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back. I can see them again, says Cove. Technically, fireflies aren't even gone. They're just eggs or larvae. He laughed and shook his head, amused. You gestured for him to go on, and he nodded. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. It makes me think about the two of us. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again, day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, that doesn't make it forever, says Cove. Chippy, I'll always be there whenever you want to see me, says Cove. I'm glad you say that. Time for confession. Time for love confession. You were so in love with him, there was nothing else you could think then, and he needed to know. Your heart started to pound in your ears. All you could hear was blood rushing. You looked at Cove and found yourself fixated. The only thing you were aware of was your rapid pulse and him. It was if your entire relationship was playing over in your mind. Every step that led you here. Yeah. Everything from the first night you met to how you started as little kids who were good friends and grew even closer to the first time you saw fireflies together, to the first time you snuck in, he snuck in your room, and then every other moment you shared, all of it came back to you. Cole's expression had turned curious as you left him waiting wordless. He tilted his head in a question. His lips parted to speak, but you went first. I love you. I love you, Cove. Oh God, I'm gonna cry. I swear. Oh. Such an emotional moment. With their confession, the world stopped for a second. Cole froze. Then, as your words turned, faucet tears began to fall down Cove's cheeks. Oh. He silently mouthed something, but you couldn't make out a word. Cove? I exclaimed. You're so sweet. You stepped closer and closer, removing the distance between the two of you. He covered his mouth with a hand. He must have forgotten about the firefly resting there, and it flew off into the night with a twinkle. He used his other hand to shakily reach over and interlaced his fingers with yours. He gripped you tightly as he started sobbing harder. You cried with him. Tears streamed down your face, and you looked a little alarmed when you started crying into his shoulder. I love you, Cole. So emotional. Cove removed the hand from his mouth and used it to hold back off hold the back of your head. He brought your face to him, bending his neck down closer to your level, and your foreheads brushed together. His voice trembled, it cracked, and it shook. This was raw, straight from Cove's heart. I love you, says Cove. Oh, God. Ugh. Why does this get me so emotional? Ugh. Ay. He closed his eyes tightly and repeated himself, but all he could say it firmly. I love you, says Cove. His aqua eyes sparkled when he opened them again. Fresh tears poured out with an outburst of emotion. Oh.
Sorry.
It's okay, honey. I know how you feel. Chippy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can't get it together. It's okay. It's okay, Cove. It's okay. It's just, I tried so much to love you quietly, secretly, and that being it. But I really wanted you to feel the same. I wanted you to love me back. I wanted to hear you say it, says Cove. I just kept thinking, what if you didn't? Maybe what I felt was too much, and I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't want to put any of that on you either, says Cove. You weren't doing something bad. Everything you do is right and wonderful, says Cove.
I'm always like this.
It wasn't your fault. I had to be like that. I'm just like that, says Cove. You leaned in closer. Oh, God. Hiding your face from view. His lips trailing over to your ear. He whispered, "But you love me. You love me," says Cove. Oh, God. Sorry. So emotional. He moved his head back so his forehead was centered on yours, and then he closed his eyes. He shook. The hand you still held was trembling. I'm so sorry. I'm really always like this, says Cove. Don't worry. It's okay to feel emotional. You kissed him. You pulled him into you, kissing his lips. He returned it desperately. Cove managed to bring a fragile smile onto his face. He was still shaking, but there was something described about him now.
I love you. I love you.
I love you, Chippy. Love you, says Cove. He repeated it more, as if to make up for all the times he didn't let himself say it before. As he spoke, his tears dried up, and his breathing became more even. The reaffirmation helped him calm down. Thank you for telling me, says Cove. Of course. It had to come out sooner or later. We're going to come to this point. Cove's smile was bolder, even as his voice wavered, and he ducked his head with a childish shyness. He clearly fought against getting emotional again. His watery eyes, his mused hair, the tears still drying on his cheeks. You loved him so much. It was only the truth. I love you, says Cove. Cove held the side of your face, but moved his thumb down to softly brush your lips. It was exciting. You wanted to keep touching you, and you wanted that too. This is the makeout session. Okay, yes. You kissed his lips. You began to pull Cove into a kiss. He welcomed it. Both of his hands cradled your head gently. He was full of sweetness for you, and eagerly took it. Eagerly you took it. You only separated when you needed air. You huffed, getting oxygen back into your lungs, all the while grinning at your boyfriend. Cove beamed at you, then kissed you back once more. A brief but solid stamp of affirmation. You kissed all over his face. You moved your face over to his cheek and gave it a nice smooch. You smiled, then planted another on the tip of his nose. You kissed across his forehead, moved on gently, brushed your lips against his eyelids, then the corners of his mouth. He made us small pleased noises and wrapped his arms around your lower back. He pressed himself even closer against you. You pressed him against the wall. Oh, we are going for it. We are going for it. Then you stepped forward with purpose and pressed your hands against his shoulders. You kept walking. His eyes widened, but he let you lead him, stepping back at the prompting. Cole squeaked when he made contact with the wall. You stared up into his flushed face. Cole's body was tense, being such a position, but you knew with complete certainty that it wasn't in a bad way. You could feel one of his knees rubbing against the inside of your leg encouragingly. You grabbed his butt. Oh yeah. You slid your hand down his back, skimming the muscle underneath. You could feel them tightening the lower you got. You paused at the base of his spine, fingers tapping with the intention, but giving him time to voice disagreement with your course of action. He did quietly murmur something. It's okay, I don't mind. I mean, it's just that I want you to. He couldn't muster the last word, but still validated. You let your hand cup his butt and squeezed it. Cove took a sharp breath. Chippy, says Cove. His voice was laced with embarrassment, but not dissatisfaction. You whispered his name. Cove. You said it hushed under your breath, then brought your lips to his ear and repeated yourself longly. Cove. A shiver went through him, and his grip on you tightened. He had to, with the waves of his knees almost buckled. You ran a hand through his hair. You stayed close to him and used one hand to climb through his hair. You leaned into your hand with your fingers. You leaned your hand when your fingers got deeper into his strands. Give me a moment. Door keeps coming out. I'm still recording.
Hope the internet lasts.
Why?
It's been having little bumps, you know? Probably.
Well,
might go off.
I'm almost finishing
It's
here.
gonna go off. The internet.
Sorry about that. Cove tilted his head and brought his mouth to yours. Your lips delicately touched, too brief and slight to be a true kiss, but enough to be exciting. The slight touches were because he was using his mouth to mumble something, although you couldn't make out any clear words. Then Cove carefully rested his hands on your shoulders and looked away. He took a few deep breaths as he kept you there. You could tell he was worked up, as he could manage for tonight. That was all right. You were feeling rather satisfied too. You smiled a little and tried to slow your own racing heart. You couldn't help thinking about how certain you wanted to spend your life with him. You didn't need to pretend it wasn't true. Not to yourself. You dreamed of waking up every day to him. You wanted Cove to be your partner, though all that you experience in this world. And someday you wanted everyone to know just how much you loved him. Now, though, you are content to keep that only in your thoughts. Finally, he was able to laugh softly. The tears were nothing but salty remnants on his cheeks. He brightened up as it finally able to process the absolute joy of tonight in full. You felt good too, and it took a little more time together to simply exist in the new dramatic and you had stepped into. Cove looked into your eyes with a soft, slightly shy expression. There was hope in his smile. Do you want to go to the hill with me? I bet there's still fireflies. Yeah. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly became bashful.
So,
how should we leave? We could try the door. We don't have to do the window thing. But maybe that bother your family? Asked Cove. You both chuckled at how awkward it would be if your mom's, or worse, Liz saw you going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. But you wanted to use the front door. I'd rather use the door. The door should be fine. My mom's don't wake up from people in the living room as long as they're quiet, I exclaimed. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul outside. Cove would be way overly dressed, and you were still in your jammies. Creeping closer to your door, the trip out, Cove whispered one more question. Should I follow behind you? Asked Cove. Yeah, follow me. Okay, says Cove. The two of you huddled together and exited your room. You quietly tiptoed down the stairs, winching when your knee popped and then froze. Neither of you heard anything further, so you continued to the front door. You unlocked the door slowly and tried to minimize the click of the lock. You took a deep breath and then turned the knob. You let Cove out first and then snuck out into the brisk night air. It was surprisingly cool, but not at all unpleasant. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up to the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right. The entire hill was lit up, insects twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a contented sigh, finally able to relax in the hill. The strut further up the hill, better to enjoy the view. You walked along as well, letting yourself be surrounded by the twinkling display. Then, without warning, Cove plopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. He put an arm under his head and stretched the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt there. laid in the grass next to him. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You sat down first, then fell back. You could see the stars when you looked up at the night sky. You snuggled against Cove. Then you snuggled against Cove. He was warm and content to the chilly ground. What? Okay. Cove closer in turn, tucking his arms up near your shoulders. Sorry about that, guys. I wonder if Dad will be mad about the grass stains, says Cove. He tucked the collar of his shirt and didn't sound concerned, just idly cautious. At least they're dark. If you're lucky, he won't be able to tell, I exclaimed. His smile bent a little. It went silent between you. The only sounds were the rustling of the bugs in the breeze and the faraway crashes of the waves on the sea. You couldn't help but reflect on what happened only a brief time earlier between this and your room. This almost felt like a different world. It was real. What happened between you two? You could almost be convinced it wasn't, and that you had never actually stopped dreaming. You stole a glance at Cove. He caught you and blushed. That little reddening reassured you. Cove rumbled, same as you. What you had was real. You asked Cove to dance with you. Cove home, may I have this dance? I asked. Cove stared at you in shock at the invitation. Understandably, he had not expected that. He felt obligated to try to say more. I think I want to dance with you again before it's over. His mouth fell open a little. You could tell he recognized your words. He had used the same on you many years ago. His eyebrows crinkled and he smiled speechless. You got up and brushed your clothes as best as you could. A pesky blade of grass tried to stay stuck to your leg. Cove did likewise, wiping his hands on his pants to clean them off. You faced across to each other, and suddenly the prospect of what you were doing became more real. Cove hesitated a moment as you both tried to decide what to move to make now. He smiled as he wrapped one arm around your waist and the other across your back. He pulled you closer, near enough that your bodies were touching. Then you began to sway together amid the floating lights. Despite the lack of music, you found the rhythm to your moments. Back and forth step to the side and slide. It was relaxed and freeing. Your eyes never strayed from one another. For a time you oh man, my throat. For a time you just existed in the moment, holding each other close and enjoying being together. The hour grew late. The fireflies mostly disappeared until a few stragglers remained. Then eventually they blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and her thoughts. Cove stole a second to release the words that had been filling his head during the quiet. I love you, Chippy. Oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional. Felt a great deal of happiness. Cove's expression was completely open, honest, and full of sincerity. He meant every word. He truly loved you. No matter how much it didn't seem real yet, it was. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to all soon. You were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were moments to truly treasure. You never let yourself forget them. And that's the end of it. So I'll save this, and next time we will go back to beginning parts. We'll start with Aaron's and then go from there. I just really wanted to do this because this was the moment that we confessed our love with Cove, and he confessed it back. So just wanted to do that. Okay, save it right there. Yeah, there we go. So thanks again for watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Again, I would like to also encourage you to go to my Patreon account if you can and become a Patreon contributor. I'm still running the special on the VIP, $25 VIP. If you become a VIP a contributor on my Patreon, I will give you a sticker or a button pin with a picture of me on it, and it'll say like thank you for becoming a VIP contributor. But that's only for a limited time now, you guys. You know, on the 8th of April, it's going to be over. I couldn't extend it any further than that. I'm sorry, guys. You know, so if you want to get on that, you better. I mean, you got what, 31 days or something like that? I don't know. It's like the 8th of April, the it'll end. So if you become a contributor after that, I doubt that I'll be able to get you a sticker or a button after that, because there's only going to be limited, you know, of what I can do after that. All right. So please do that. Please, if you know, don't miss out. You know, I'd really appreciate it. And like I said, the money goes completely to charity. I don't see a penny of it. It just goes directly to charity. All right. So I will see you guys later. Bye for now.